Now I'm going to cover some program design. We have 7 steps in program design, which is needs analysis, then exercise selection, then training frequency for resistance training, then exercise order, then load and rep scheme, then volume, and then rest. What I'm going to cover now is going to be first training frequency, and then goal, load, reps per set, sets, total reps, so volume, and then rest. So I'm covering the second half of this. We're not going to be picking exercises and put them in order. First, we got how many times a week can we train? Our frequency. A beginner can train 2 to 3 times a week, intermediate 3 to 4 times a week, and advanced 4 to 7 times a week. A beginner is up to 2 months. Somebody who's never trained before and has only been consistently training 2 to 3 times a week for 2 months. And then intermediate would be somebody who's been training consistently for 2 to 6 months, 3 to 4 times a week. And these are all NSCA recommendations. These are all the tables and numbers I have to remember so I can pass their exam. This is not reflective of my reality when I train myself or I train other people. But these are now the guidelines that I will use in training other people, because that's what the whole cert is for, right? To teach me stuff or to demonstrate that I know. Advanced is going to be 6+ months of training consistently. And they can, well, they don't, they, yeah, 4 to 7 times a week. And that's the recommended, that's what somebody who is advanced can train that many times, 4 to 7. And then specifically in a sport during the off season, now we're going to put the frequencies inside of some kind of a frame of reference here. Off season, an advanced athlete can train 4 to 6 times a week. In the preseason, they can train 4 times a week, 3 to 4 times a week. In season, when they're actually competing and playing, 1 to 3 times a week, and then postseason, 0 to 3 times a week. Off season, that's your preparatory phase. You want to build volume there. So that's where you get a lot of your resistance training in. Preseason, your volume is going to decrease, but your intensity is going to increase, and I'll cover that too. And then in season, 1 to 3 times a week, because you're trying to maintain. You want to peak in the beginning and then maintain. And then postseason, you have to relax, recover, repair, and get ready for the off-season training. So that covers our frequency. First, we're going to cover our goal. Let's go with, we got a strength athlete. What's that mean? A strength athlete is going to train at what kind of a load? Greater than or equal to 85% of their 1 rep max. They're going to use less than or equal to 6 reps per set. Bring that in there. All right. I'm going to turn this way a little bit. There we go. 6 reps per set. I'm not sure how much glare. There we go. Get rid of that glare. 6 reps per set, 2 to 6 sets. Total reps are going to be, well, I shouldn't use that because that's going to be quite different if we just go from a minimum to a maximum on the range. So we'll just say this is reps per set, or number of sets, I'm sorry. That's number of sets. There's reps per set. There's the number of sets. All right, this is our intensity. All right, this gives us our total volume right here. And then we need our rests. So how much will we rest if we're lifting that much? 2 to 5 minutes between sets. So we'll say 2 to 5 minutes. Next, we've got power, training for a power athlete, but we've got 2 kinds. We got single effort, right? So that's like those would be our Olympic weightlifters and power lifters. And then multi-effort would be like basketball or soccer, some kind of track event where they're multiple bounding. So we'll say single effort and multi-effort. All right, let's bring that down a little bit. What do we have for a single effort? When you're doing a single effort, you're going 80 to 100%. And if you're a multi-effort, you're going 75 to 85%. And this is the power that's towards 80 to 90%. That's towards the heavy side, because you can also train power between 30 and 85%, but this is talking about the heavy side. And at 90%, you can generate twice as much power as you can at 100% because you've got no velocity at 100% 1 rep max. Because the equation for power is work over time. So you decrease your time, and that means your power. If you increase the amount of work you do, work is force over a distance, force times displacement. I'll run through all these equations at a different time. This is a good time. All right, let's break this down. Power equals work over time. I think that's measured in watts. Work over time. So if you make the time less, you do more work, then your power will increase. What's work? Work equals force times your displacement. So force over a distance. So how do you increase the amount of work that you've done? You make your distance larger and you increase the amount of force. What's force? Force equals mass times acceleration. If you're lifting the weight off of the ground, then your acceleration has to be greater than 9.8 meters per second squared, because that is that's our gravitational constant. So if you want to move that weight at 1 meter per second, you've actually got to move it at 10.8 meters per second squared will be your acceleration. The mass, well, that's what's the intensity. So if you're lifting a 100 kilo weight and you want to increase your force, then you can lift it faster or you can lift more weight. So we just plug all this equation. This one plugs into here, this one plugs into here, and that's what we're looking at here. But it turns out, and probably because of physiological mechanisms, that at 90%, that's the most power you're going to generate, because you're looking back at all those factors we just talked about, that you're going to produce more power at 90% than you will 100. Anyway, so there you go. Now we're back to the reps per set. For this heavier single effort, we're going to do 1 to 2 reps per set. Multi-effort, we're going to do 3 to 5 reps per set. And then for both of them, we're going to do 3 to 5 sets. So if you're doing doubles of an Olympic lift, you're doing like power cleans or something like that, power cleans or a snatch, 5 sets of 2, that fits the prescription. Maybe it's not Prilipin's table. I don't know. I'd have to compare them. I don't remember Prilipin's table. I have to look that up. And that's that. And what about our rest? Also, 2 to 5 minutes. Why? Because you got not just to recover your creatine phosphate pathway, the phosphagen. You want to get some blood back in that tissue too. You're going to be squeezing the muscle that hard. You have to rest to get a full recovery, because there's also a technical aspect to this, right? If you get tired, because you can do a 30-second rest or a minute rest, but what's that next rep going to look like? It's going to look like trash. And now we're going into hypertrophy. Hypertrophy. What's that mean? That means making the muscles bigger. Okay, so we want to make the muscles bigger. What do we lift at? We're going to go 67 to 85% for 6 to 12 reps per set for 3 to 6 sets. And the more experienced you are, the more stimulation you'll require. So people that go to the gym that are not professional bodybuilders do not need to be in the gym for 2.5 hours. You probably get way better results if you just program better and you did it for an hour. But if you watch like Pump and Iron, Arnold Schwarzenegger needs 2 hours and that many sets per muscle and that many different exercises to get that stimulation. What do we have for rest? Here for hypertrophy, you're going 30 seconds to a minute and a half. All right. Here, let's draw that through here. And then finally, we've got muscular endurance. So all these things sort of blend into each other, right? And that's a good thing, because that means you can train multiple attributes. You're going to get a little bit of benefit in all of your realms by training one specific way, but you're not going to get a lot of something else. Like size is a side effect of training for strength. Strength is a side effect of training for size. But if you don't train the correct way, you're not going to get as strong as you could as if you trained the correct way for strength. What are we at? We're at less than or equal to 67% intensity with respect to 1RM. Greater than 12, so like 15 to 20 reps. So like 15 to 20 reps per set, 2 to 3 sets. What kind of rest are we looking at? Less than or equal to 30 seconds. Why? Because we're trying to drive the energy pathway. Muscular endurance, local muscular endurance. Okay, let's see. What's next? Next, we're going to talk about how this all of these things fall into a program periodization. And we'll make that a second video so that I don't run out of, so we don't bore everybody to death. Make it one. Okay, let's go. We'll be right back. Turn on.